Oh, you really can't see anyone's faces out here. So I'm going to tell a story that I actually wasn't going to tell until this morning. Something happened yesterday to me that made me rethink what story I was going to tell. So this story starts 2 years ago. My car broke down, and I got really depressed because I didn't have the money to fix it, and I knew I'd have to ask my parents for the money. And to make matters worse, I was living with my parents. And to make matters worse, I was 33 and I was living with my parents. And to make matters worse, I was 33, I was living with my parents, and I had chronic health issues that prevented me from actually making any money besides odd jobs that I was doing. And I remember I just started crying. It was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And I wondered, how did my life get here to this point? Well, the truth is, I knew how it had gotten there. In 2008, I was diagnosed with something called Cushing's disease, which is an endocrine disorder. It's very rare, and you can die from it. And it's from having too much cortisol in your system, and it basically ruins all these body systems. I got osteoporosis, causes weight gain. I gained 70 pounds. A lot of my hair fell out. I started growing facial hair. And if you don't treat it, eventually you'll gain a lot more weight, and you'll get diabetes and have a heart attack and die. So it was obviously a very traumatic time, and I was cured from it, but you know, what that meant for me, particularly because of the case that I had, was that I had to have my adrenal glands taken out, and because of 2 failed, essentially, brain surgeries on my pituitary, I also had no working endocrine system at all. So it had been a real struggle for the last 5 years, and that was why I was living with my parents, and I couldn't really work full-time in a normal 9-to-5 job because I never knew how I was going to feel from one day to the next. And so I did know how I got there, but more importantly, I realized at that point I had no way knowing how I was going to get away from that. Like, I felt like I was indefinitely going to have to be dependent on my parents, and it was very scary. And so I was in a place of real despair, and my mom came in and saw me crying, and she asked me what was wrong, and I told her my car broke down, and she said, well, don't worry about it, we'll lend you the money. And I said, no, it's not just the money, it's that I don't know, like, what's my game plan here? You know, no offense, but I don't want to live with you the rest of my life. And she said she said this to me a lot, my mom, she's so sweet. She always says, well, when you got sick, your dad and I sat down and we said, well, we're okay with Martha living with us for the rest of her life. And I appreciate that, but when she says that, I want to say, well, that sounds like my nightmare. Living with you guys for the rest of my life, and not, you know, this is something you really don't want to say to your parents, is that hopefully you guys die before I do, so you're really saying the rest of your life, and then when you're dead, where am I going to live? Like, I need to figure this shit out. So I'm saying that to my mom, and she just kind of blurts out, why didn't you become my real estate assistant? And I should have said, wow, that's such an honor, because my mom's been a realtor, a very successful realtor for 20 years, and it would be an honor to be her assistant and have her as my mentor. But instead I said, what? Ooh. That was how loud it was. I said, what? I don't want to become a real estate agent. I'm like an artist and a writer, and like, that wasn't what I had pictured for my life at all. So I thought about it. I told her I would think about it. And I thought about it for a couple weeks. And I started thinking, okay, this actually might be a good idea. Because for my illness, it's flexible. You can actually make some money. And here I had this wonderful person to teach me, and I wouldn't be starting out cold. So I told her, okay, I'll think about it. And I'll do it. So let's buy the schooling. Because to get your real estate license, you need 150 hours of schooling, and you have to take this horrible test that a lot of people don't pass on the first try. And I actually know some people have taken it 7 times. Part of the reason is because it's like taking a mini bar exam just for real estate law without having gone to any law school. You just have to listen to these tapes, and it's like mind-numbingly boring. So I immediately was like in a lot of mental pain trying to do this. And also subconsciously, I had kind of one foot out the door of like, I don't know if I really want to do this. So I kept putting it off, and I kept making excuses like, I don't feel good, or I'm having a sick day today, or it's boring, or whatever, and months go by. Pretty soon 6 months have gone by, and I'm telling my friends, like, I don't know why, I'm just struggling so much, and I don't know what's wrong with me, why can't I do this? And some people say, like, well, maybe it's a sign that you shouldn't do it, because it's so hard. And I know that it's true for some things, but I knew deep down that wasn't true for me, and I knew that it wasn't a sign that I shouldn't do it. But that I, for one reason or another, hadn't committed fully. Like practically I knew that this is what I needed to do for my life, but emotionally I wasn't on board and I wasn't committed to the process. And so 6 months more go by. And pretty soon it's been a year since I bought the schooling. And this is something that usually takes people 3 months. And that's when my self-esteem starts circling the drain. And that's when I start thinking, maybe what's wrong with me? Am I lazy? Maybe I'm just stupid. Like, I've always considered myself a smart person, but I cannot concentrate on this. And you know, I did fear that maybe my brain had been damaged because with Cushing's, when you have a chronic stress disease like PTSD, they've done MRIs and seen that your frontal lobe does start to atrophy. And I'm like, maybe I'm just fucked, like mentally, and like I'm done. And so I'm just constantly struggling. And you know, 6 months more go by, and I'm talking to my mom, like, I don't know what's wrong with me. You know, she has really bad ADD, and she's like, maybe I should give you some of my Ritalin. And I was secretly hoping that I had ADD because I was like, maybe this is, I was thinking, maybe this is a magic pill that just makes everything fascinating, you know? But I agree too, it's not. Basically, you just feel like you drank like 70 cups of coffee, and then you're really stressed out and you can't study at all, so that doesn't work. And I was like, damn it, I don't have ADD. And then Leslie asked me to do this storytelling event, and the theme was acceptance. And I started thinking about what that meant to me. And originally, I was going to tell this story about why I decided that you know, real estate was a good fit, and I was going to be at networking, and blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, no, the acceptance part was why had it taken me so long to do this studying, to get this done, even though I knew it was what I needed to do. And I came to the realization that one small part of me, deep down, I think, thought I was going to get better someday, and that I wasn't really sick. And I had to accept the fact that it seems crazy because I've had this disease for 5 years, but I think one small part of me thought, I'm going to get better someday, and I'm not really sick. And I had to realize that, no, I'm going to deal with this the rest of my life. And acceptance is accepting reality, and if you don't accept reality, you can't move forward. So I came to understand that was the story I needed to tell, and I didn't want to tell that story. I didn't want to get up in here and talk about that, because I like to tell funny stories. And then, crazy enough, as happens when you have a 1995 Honda with 200,000 miles on it, my car broke down yesterday. And I knew I'd have to like rearrange my whole schedule this week, and I was dreading coming up here. And so I emailed Leslie and said, I can't make it, my car broke down. And she emailed me back and told me how disappointed she was, and was also like, why can't you just get a ride? And I had to sit down with myself this morning and go, well, yeah, I can't just go, I have to ask my mom for a ride. And what I realized is, you know, I had a shitty thing happen to me that some people, you know, there's a lot of people with health problems, but, you know, I had a very rare, crazy thing happen to me. But that's over with now. And guess what? My car's going to keep breaking down, shit's going to keep happening. And it's not about telling the perfect story, it's about accepting yourself as imperfect. So thank you so much for listening to my story.